opened up to the next clean page in our math notebooks. Today we are going to label our page 14.2, graph data using ordered pairs, and today's date, which is 12/9/2020. So 14.2, graph data using ordered pairs, 12/9/2020. When you have this written down, please give me a thumbs up so that I know you are ready to move on. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for showing me you are ready. Thank you. Thank you. So we shouldn't be doing anything in our workbooks right now. We are only in our notebooks. All right, are we ready to move on, 5th grade? Okay, before I move on, what's an ordered pair? Who can raise their hand and tell me what's an ordered pair? For graphing data using an ordered pair, what is an ordered pair? Let's first turn and talk to the person next to you. What's an ordered pair? Three, two, 1, 0. Who can raise their hand and tell me what's an ordered pair? What is an ordered pair, Michael?
We have a graph, and then the number on the y line, and that's, let's say, a 2, and then the one on the x line, let's say that's a 4. We put the 2 and the 4 together, that's an ordered pair.
That's an ordered pair. And in an ordered pair, which coordinate do we list first? Which coordinate do we list first, Chanel? Which coordinate do we list first in an ordered pair? The x. Yes, the number on the x-axis. Who can tell me what's our trick for remembering? How do we remember which coordinate comes first? Philip? Yes, x comes before y in the alphabet, so we list the x coordinate first. Nice job, 5th grade. Now, what forms of punctuation do we need to make sure we include in our ordered pair? What's one piece of punctuation we include? Mackenzie? Comma. You need a comma between the x and the y coordinate, and what else do we need around them? Eosius? Parentheses. Nice job. So, 5th grade, what we are going to do, I want you to explain how to graph the point 1, 5. Now, did I say to actually graph it? What word kind of tells you what I want you to do? Well, explain. So you need to use words. You need to write in a sentence or two. Say someone comes up to you and says, hey, I don't know how to graph. How would I graph this point 1, 5? And I want you to write out in words what you would tell that person. Imagine a classmate came to you and said, how would I graph 1, 5? How would you explain that to them? So go ahead and write down, describe and explain how to graph the point, and then right below it, go ahead and write in your own words how you could explain graphing point 1, 5 to somebody else. When you are done, quietly give me a thumbs up, please. Put in your own words how you would explain how to graph the point 1, 5. I can't really help you guys because I want it in your own words, not in mine. Let's say, plotting the point. Like you have a graph with all the x and the y axis, and someone says, how do I mark the point 1, 5 on this graph? On your coordinate line? Yes, it's one of the marks. Think about how you would explain that to a classmate who's going to ask you for help. No, it's okay. Take some time. So they already have a graph. It already has the numbers on the x and the y axis. Explain to them how they would graph that point. No, you're just explaining in words. How would you explain this to someone else?
Do we know what the x-axis and the y-axis is?
Well, if you really wanted to give them a good description, a reminder would not hurt. Thank you to those of you for waiting patiently and giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'm not looking at them right now, okay? You just be confident in your own explanation. And Michael, just hold on to that, please, bud. Thank you. If you people finish your notes, I'll give you a few moments. I'm not looking at them right now. You be confident in your explanation. You still have people trying to figure out how to explain something. They should not be talking. Is there anyone who needs more time? All right, I'll give you another moment. Okay. Sounds good. All right, so fifth grade, here's what we're going to do. And I want you to listen to all my directions carefully first before we start. So put your book away. You are going to turn and share your directions with your partner. So when you are listening to your partner's explanation, I want you to think about, are they describing this to where it could help a classmate who doesn't understand it? And then I'm going to be asking for you to raise your hand if you think your partner has a good explanation they should share with the class after. So go ahead, turn and share with your partner your explanation. That's like if you are running, your stride length is how far you go from one step to the next when you're running. All right. Raise your hand if you think your partner has a very good explanation they should share with the class. All right. So, Jack L., your partner was Addie, correct? Addie, why didn't you share your explanation nice and loud with the class? Nice job. Who else had a partner with a great explanation they think they should share with the class? All right, Zoe, your partner was Richie, correct? All right, Richie, share with us. That's okay. You just explain what you told Zoe. Okay, nice. That's okay. Awesome. Who else had a partner with a great explanation? All right, Will, your partner was Mackenzie. So Mackenzie, go ahead.
And X comes before Y in the alphabet, and 1 comes before 5 in the alphabet. So 1 goes in 5, 1 goes in X, and 5 goes in Y. Then go to that, 1 will go at the bottom of X, and 5 will go up. Then you go up 5, only 1, up, and then you go up to Y, and that's what your 5 is.
Awesome. Nice job. Who else had a partner with a great explanation? Allison, your partner was Frankie. Frankie, you have like the same explanation? Oh my gosh. All right. Is your explanation maybe split in 2 sentences? Or parts? Yeah, why don't you guys figure out who says what, and I'll come back to you so that you both can share with explaining it. Who else had a great partner explanation? Michael, you were with Layla? Yep. All right, Layla, go ahead and share nice and loud for us. Mm-hmm. Awesome job. All right, Frankie and Allison, did you figure it out? Not yet? Okay. Okay. Richie, you were with Zoe, right? All right, Zoe, why don't you share with us your explanation nice and loud? That's okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that works. That works. All right. Did you guys figure it out? All right, our last one. So Frankie and Allison, go ahead and explain your explanation.
So you go along the x-axis and then you find the 1, and then you go up 5 times.
And then you go up 5 times. Nice job, 5th grade. Now, do you feel confident if a classmate were to come and ask you, hey, how do I graph this point? How many of you would feel confident helping them and explaining to them how to do that. How many of you would feel confident? Okay, some of you kind of want to raise your hand. I see you over there, Grayson, like maybe I'm really close to that. All right, my goal by the end of this unit is for you to feel comfortable helping a classmate if they ask you for help. So we're going to be getting right into our practice after that description. So practice, graph and label each point on the grid. So we will be drawing a grid, but this is the only grid we are drawing today in our notes, okay? So let's just work on first writing practice and then graph and label each point on the grid. Give me a thumbs up when you are ready for the next part. Mackenzie, do you have a question? Oh, okay. You'll find out. I'll show you. I'll show you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up when you are done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice job. Thank you. Thank you. I see a few people finishing theirs up. Jack, hold on to it, please. Awesome. Is there anyone who needs more time? No. All right, I'll give you another moment. You don't need to say no. I'll just look for hands. Thank you, though. All right. Awesome. Okay, so, thank you. Here is our grid. Hey, it's okay. So, it is 10 by 10. So, you want to make sure, 5th grade? Hey, voices. Jack, we talked about this. You want to make sure you have at least 11 lines. And I say 11 because you need 10 for the y-axis, but then also, remember, you also need that line for the 0 and then your x-axis. Now, one thing I forgot to do, actually, I want to label my axis. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. There you go. Yeah. So make sure you have enough lines for your grid. And remember, my trick, I use the lines on my paper for the lines that go left and right in my grid. So I go down 11 spaces, and then I kind of use, sometimes I'll use my fingers and kind of measure, okay, this is how long my y-axis is, and I keep my fingers the same length, and then I just kind of move it, and okay, that's about how long I need my x-axis to be, since they both go to 10. So you can do that too. So I start by drawing kind of an L. Yep, you'll need 11. I draw an L. Then I make sure I put an arrow at the top of my L, and I put an arrow on the right of my L. Then I go through and I just label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I make sure I put a 0 at the origin. And then, since I have my X line already drawn because it's a part of my L, then I kind of just space out, okay, the 1 will be about here, and then I try to keep that space between the 0 and the 1 equal as I go down my x-axis, writing each number. After I've written my numbers on the side, that's when I usually go through and do my other lines. So like I said, the lines going left and right, I just follow the lines in my paper, and then the lines going up and down, I just do my best. I start, where I wrote that number, and I try to keep my line straight. Now for me, I sometimes like to turn my paper like this because it is easier for me to draw a line like this than it is to draw it up and going down to up. It's easier for me to go left to right. So if you need to turn your notebook, that is completely okay. And don't forget to put the remember off to the side as well.
I have a question. So it's supposed to be 10, isn't it? It's actually 1.
So we should do 11, so we have 1, 2,
Yeah, I have
3,
11.
4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is your number 11. 11 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, so we have this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a good extra line, and should I add the number?
So you should have 11 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh.
Mhm. And don't forget those arrows on your both of your axes.
I don't even know if I'm coming up line on all.
You will, because all that you need is 3 lines, because you're plotting. You're not writing anything down now. You're going to be plotting. So as long as you have 3 lines down, and you do, you're going to be plotting. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Tell me when you are, or give me a thumbs up when you have your grid drawn and you have the remember written, and then I can scoot my paper down so you can see the coordinates. Because that's what you're going to label it in the process, or mark it on the graph. Yeah? So that first one, you're going to label it J when you put it on your graph. Perfect. Nice job. You did a good job. So you guys make sure your numbers on your y-axis line up with the lines. I've been seeing a lot of people writing those numbers along the y-axis in the spaces between the lines. They should line up with each line. So if you look at mine, my 1, I did not write my 1 in the space between this line and this line. I wrote it so that it lines up with this line. If you need to go and erase and realign those numbers, I want you to do that. Same with your x-axis. My 1 is not in this space. It lines up with the first line. My 2 lines up with the line. It's not in a space. So make sure your numbers along your x-axis and your y-axis line up with the line. They are not in between lines on there. So if you need to erase and rewrite those numbers, you should do that. Like I said, this is the only coordinate grid you need to write. Yeah, you just said,
Oh, so true. I just got that.
I'll scoot down when everyone's done with their grid. I see some people finishing up their grids. Most people are either finishing up their last few lines or finishing up their last few labels. Nice work. Okay, does everyone have their grid written down? Does anyone need more time with their grid? Any more time with your grid, Zoe? Yeah. Okay, I'll give you another moment. I know you're pretty close. So fifth grade, when we are all done with our grid, I will scoot my notebook up so that you can see numbers 1 through 12. And so yesterday we practiced both being given an ordered pair and plotting the point, which is what we're going to do. And we also practiced having a point already on our grid and writing the ordered pair for that point. Today, we're completely practicing, okay, here's your ordered pair, plot it on your grid. Now, what do we need to remember when we're labeling our points? What do we need to remember? What do we need to remember, Will? Well, that's an unordered pair. What do we need to remember when we're graphing the points? Mackenzie?
X comes before Y.
X comes before Y. Awesome. And how about when we're labeling that point on the grid? Addie? For the right letter? Yes, make sure you're using the correct letter. Hey, notebook away from me. Alright. So, I know, I don't want you copying off of this. I'm about to move my notebook. Alright. Like if we look at number 1, it's a capital J. So when you plot the point for number 1, you need to make sure you are labeling it with a capital J. Here are numbers 1 through 12. So again, as long as you have 3 lines underneath your grid, you're good. Because we're not actually writing a whole lot underneath our grid. You just need to write down the coordinate or the ordered pairs and labels for 1 through 12. Then for each one, you're going to go up into your grid and plot those points and label them with the letter it gives you. So go ahead, write down 1 through 12. Once you have 1 through 12 written down, don't forget those commas and parentheses. Then you can go ahead and plot your points. Once you're done plotting your points on your grid, give me a thumbs up, and then I know it is time to do it together. Yes, I know I don't. Some letters you'll notice aren't often used when plotting points. So for example, an O. Because if someone were to write a small O on their grid, I could think that was a point, not a letter. So sometimes certain letters you just don't use.
Or uppercase or lowercase. If you put a dot and then a J.
Yep, so when you plot it, remember you put a dot or a point where the ordered pair tells you to, then next to it, you write the letter for it. That's its name. So like if I told you like on a homework assignment, I could say, okay, let's all look at plot or point Q, then you will know which point I'm talking about. If we didn't label them, you would have no idea which point I'm talking about. So all the letters I have written there are uppercase. They're capital letters. And it's just, we're going to talk about that.
Is that number 10? Is that an 8?
That's an 8, yes. that, where you're putting that point is directly where those two lines intersect with each other or cross each other. I love seeing that precision because we may eventually get into plotting decimal numbers like 2.5, where you have to make sure you're being precise. It won't be. You'll get the hang of it pretty easily. But I love how precise you are being. Nice work. Thank you to those of you who are waiting patiently and have found something to do. If anyone needs more time, okay, I will give you another moment or two. All right, fifth grade, let's look at this together. All right, I'm going to get out a pen that you can see pretty clearly. I'll use green. Actually, I'm going to use purple. Okay, are we ready? Okay, so for each of these, we needed to plot our points. So for 1, J, we had 2, 6. Remember that first coordinate is always our x coordinate. So 2, then I go up to 6. J should be here. And notice that I'm putting my point right where the two lines intersect or cross one another. And then I'm putting a capital J next to it. Number 2, 6, 2. So it's the flip. It's the reverse of J. So I would go over 6 and I would go up 2. Right where they intersect, I would label that K. Number 3, L, 4, 5. So over 4, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Putting my points right where they intersect with each other. That is L. Then we have number 4, M. That's 0, 8. So 0 and then up 8. I'm putting it right on this line. So 5th grade, like I was telling you, if we were to eventually start graphing decimals, if you're aren't putting your point right on this line, if you're kind of going in a little bit, I would count that as like 8.2 or 0.1 or 0.2. So you need to make sure it's right on that line. I don't want you going in. I want it right on that line. Even if it's touching your 8, make sure it's on that line. So if you need to correct your point, I want you to do that. And we labeled that M. Then we have number 5, which was 3, 9. So I'd go over 3, up 9 to here, right where those two lines intersect with one another. And we label that N. In 5th grade, do you notice that I am putting my label kind of on the same side of each of my points? Yes. That's so that if I were to have 2 points next to each other, if I like put one on the bottom and one on the top, and like one's on top of the other, I might not know which point is which. So I would say once you pick, like here, I tend to put it to like the diagonal right, the right corner of it. That's where I should be putting all of them so that I know that's where to look for my point. All right, number 6P is 6, 6. So that would be here. Labeling it P. Then I have 7Q, which is 1, 4. So over 1, up 4. That is Q. Then I have 8R, which is 5, 0. So 5, and then I go up 0. So again, I'm making sure it's on this line. I'm not going up. I'm not going up and putting my point like here. It's on my line. And that is labeled R. So again, if you need to fix that one to make sure it's on that x-axis line, I want you to do that. Then we had number 9S, which was 7, 3. So I go over 7, up 1, 2, 3. That is S. I have number 10T, which is 7, 8. So I go over 7 and up 8, which is here. And that is labeled T. Last 2. 11 is U, 8, 1. So I go over 8, up 1, right where those two lines intersect. That is labeled U. And then I have number 12V, which is 3, 3. So I go over 3 and up 3. And that is labeled B. Show me on your hands 1 through 5. How did you feel about this? How did you feel? 1 through 5, how did you feel? Awesome. Philip, show me how you felt. Awesome. Frankie, how did you feel? Jack, L, and Addie, how did you feel? Okay. Awesome. Are we feeling pretty confident about this? Okay. Nice job. Oh, does anyone have a question on any of them? Any questions? Okay. Do you understand why we want to try and label the points kind of at around the same area for each point? Like I always do it up and kind of to the right. Does it make sense why we do that? Okay. All right. Let's take out our math workbooks. Open up to page 787. 787. Nice job. Ready to rock. Ready to rock. All right. 5th grade, I do want to just send out a reminder to all of you. When you are done, let's say with notes, you finish early, you can probably guess what our homework pages are going to be because we put like 14.2 at the top. You should not be working on homework until I assign it to you during this time in our lesson. There could be additional notes. There could be hints or tips I need to tell you. And if you get started on your homework right away, you could be doing it incorrectly, even if you're 100% sure you're doing it the way you're supposed to. You should not be working on your homework until I assign it to you. Capiche? All right. So on page 787 and 788, we are going to have number 1 through 17. You were just telling me how those 12 points didn't even look like a lot. 1 through 17. And then we're going to go on to the next page, so just a second. 1 through 17.
There's only 14.
All right, 5th grade. Circle numbers 1 through 17, please. We just did 12, no problem. You can do 5 more for your homework. Yes, Addie? That's okay. And then, so 1 through 17. Then we're going to circle number 21 and number 22. So I'm going to say it one more time. We're on 787, 788, numbers 1 through 17. Numbers 1 through 17. Then number 21 and number 22. We have a little bit of work time, so you go ahead and get started on your work. I will turn on some work music for you. Nice job with your notes today.